Hello YouTube, Alexander here. Thank you for joining me for yet another YouTube video. Today I'm just a little bit excited because can you guess what's in the box? I've been waiting for this for just a little while now. So I'm going to take you through the unboxing. We're going to get it on the rig and then we're going to try a little bit of racing, see how it feels, see what I think about it. So if you all want to sit tight, buckle in, join me for this journey. Let's go. So let's just push that to a side. Right, so first thing is first, we have instruction manual. This has the different methods for mounting to your rig as well as bolt holes for if you are mounting it with a non-standard rig and you need to drill some holes for this to fit. As well as that, we have next out of the box is a USB 2 cable. That is A to B. 1.6 meters is what the manufacturer specifies. So that will get you a nice short run from your shifter to your PC, but you might want to spec something longer if you've got a rig such as mine where I'm wall mounted. I have to have really long cables. Next out of the box then we have some red plastic here. We have a mount, or this looks like some sort of bracket that they've 3D printed. We have brass inserts there. These will be melted in to hold in place, but that feels really heavy, so I'm guessing that's a very high infill. The 3D printing is not as smooth as I would have expected, but then this one doesn't seem to have any obvious difficulties in printing. It doesn't look like they've had to do too much post-processing either. There are multiple different bolt holes. I think I'll mainly be using these slots here for the rig and then these here for the shifter. I'm pretty sure that these brass inserts may be for mounting to other hardware because they're not specified as part of any of the information that you get, to be fair. Right, so next out of the box, let's pull the main piece out. This is quite heftily packaged and quite a fair bit of bubble wrap. As I'm sure you can hear off camera, and here we have the main party piece. Again, 3D printed plastic. This logo isn't 3D printed though, and neither is of course the metal parts. Is that 3D printed? Okay, so the faceplate is 3D printed, but in an alternating weave to make it actually look and feel like carbon fibre. That's impressive. That is really impressive. Of course, you've got the mounts on the back as well. Shifter handle or knob would go on there. And of course, you've got your USB and your type. Because the big thing about this for me, the one thing I'm really excited for, is the fact that I can switch between sequential shifting and H-pattern shifting just with a couple of seconds. All I have to do is just twist the lever, flick the button, and I'm sequential or H-pattern. So I'm really looking forward to trying that out, seeing how it really works when it's on the rig. But there's more to come. And I have to say, despite that being 3D printed, and the layer heights being quite high, you can feel the roughness, but I think it still looks really good. So I'm quite impressed with that. We still have more to pull out of this package. As I'm trying to get through it all, we have here what I think might be a shifter knob or handle, or whatever you want to call it in your part of the world. Of course, I know that there's different names for everything around the world. Americans like to say trunk, we like to say boot. So that's a rubber little shift knob handle thing. Is it rubber? It feels so it's a 3D printed plastic insert. So in here, 3D printed plastic, and then that feels like either silicone or rubber that's molded over the top. Very well done, very well molded is that. And what do we have here? We have a couple of Allen keys. Allen keys, of course, will be the way to mount this. I haven't seen, there might be some hardware in there. there is indeed some cap head bolts with washers, so that'll be for mounting your bracket to the shifter. As I'm struggling to get these Allen keys out, let's make it a little easier. There we go. So we have some Allen keys wrapped in tape to make them easy to pull out. There we go. Different sizes. I'm not sure what the different sizes are for. My rig doesn't use bolts with heads that small, so I don't know. And this is another handle. So that's a much longer version. So depending on what you would want on your handle, there's two different versions there. Whereas I was hoping to get a real one eventually, but you do get a choice depending on what you want. So to lay all this out so that you can see what we get for your money, considering there's two different shifting versions on this, I think that's quite good value. But the important thing now is, how do you mount all this onto your rig if you're using something like I am, like a track racer or another profile rig, because it doesn't look as simple when you have things like the track racer trays. And to show you what I mean by that, that's a track racer tray. It has pre-drilled holes from the factory to allow you to mount all different types of shifters. The Logitech one had to be mounted backwards because it wasn't as easy. Of course, they're more catering to the higher end stuff that you get from somewhere like Frex or something like that in terms of shifters. So the plate isn't going to be used, instead it's going straight onto the rig, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Just follow me. Okay, so here we are, we're at the rig. I have my DIY handbrake here. This is going to be in the way for a bit of this, so I have to be careful not to damage anything. As you can see, the sensor's quite exposed there. But I've found some bolts that fit these. I think they're 25 or 30 mil. They're quite long compared to what you'd use for most of the brackets. So do be careful about that. I'm lucky that I had spares with the TR80. Yeah, this rig came with a lot of stuff, so I'm lucky that I'm not having to find bolts, because I didn't get bolts with this. It was just a couple of washers that allow you to mount it to your chosen peripheral. There are enough bolts to mount the bracket on, however. I'm a bit worried though, because of the 3 Allen keys they're supplied, not one would correctly fit the cap head screw. So I had to reach into my toolbox to grab the correct size. It's a 3mm Allen key. I think theirs may have been oversized at 3.5 or 3.25. Either way, it will only catch the very edge of the screw, and that's a very quick way to round out your Allen keys or your cap head screw. So be very, very careful if you're trying to use the supplied Allen keys. Now, the next thing we need to consider, we have the switch and the USB port on the side which mounts to the rig. So I'm going to need to make sure that it's low enough not to interfere with those, so that I can still plug in and I can still change settings. So I think we're just going to throw this in, and I'm hoping you guys can see as much as this. I'm using the slots rather than the holes, and we're just going to try and line that up. You know how this goes if you've built a profile rig yourself. This is obviously something that we've done a few times before. Seeing where you're starting, very important, but from there you can get the rest of it on feel. Now, while that's sort of tight, and I know that there are a few different adjustment points on here, but they didn't actually provide an Allen key to get things onto your rig, so make sure you've kept that. If you haven't kept it, you're going to have to find some Allen keys, otherwise you're going to struggle a little bit. Not the end of the world, but it's not going to be pleasant. Trying to get all that done. So let's go get this tight. And you will see I usually tighten up by hand the easy way as much as I can before I try and clamp down. Now with the cap head bolts provided and the rig bolts, I'm only going to go until I start to hear the plastic complain. I don't really want to go too tight because I don't want to break it. And I doubt you'll pick it up on microphone. But they've gone nice and tight without complaining. As tight as everything else on the rig is anyway, and that's nice and solid. And that does feel like a nice solid action. So let's move it to the rig now. We'll see how this feels, how it performs. I'll try it in some rally to start with so that I can use the sequential and the H pattern, and then we might try it in some Assetto Corsa just to see really what it's like as a shifting unit. See you there. Well, here we are then, we're in Dirt Rally 2. I think that's the best place to showcase both sequential and H pattern and how easy it is to switch between the two different modes. So right now I'm going to get into Tommy Mackinnon's Evo. We're going to go around, I think I'm in New Zealand. We're going to try it on sequential. After that I'll come out, we'll go into something historic, maybe a Fulvia, and try out the H pattern. I've got the shorter knob installed. They don't change the height of the shift lever, and it is quite a long throw compared to something like I'm used to in my MX-5, but definitely not as long as something like a Honda Civic from 2000. That was a really long throw. This one is short, sharp. It's got a very good spring actuation with what feels like a cam between each gear. So that feels quite good off the bat, but let's get into some action. We'll see how it is, and you guys can see for yourself how the shifter is responding.
Right. Opens into one left tightens.
So I would say as a sequential box,
And turn 3 right. Into turn immediate 4 left of a crest. Opens long, don't cut tightens 2. Into cut maybe 4 right.
it feels quite real. It's like there's definitely some mechanical force between the shifts,
Left.
and this is on standard
Right. Opens 30.
spring tension, so there's a lot further to go with this.
Open hairpin right. Into 3 left. Into 5 right. Into 4 left. Very long. Opens 30. 3 right. Into 3 left. Into turn 2 right. Opens into 4 left. Opens very long. Tightens over crest. Into 3 right long. Don't cut. Opens. Into 2 left. Tightens don't cut. Into 6 right. 3 left. Don't cut through narrow grid. Opens of a crest. Into 6 right of a crest. Long. Tightens don't cut. Into 6 right. Into don't cut 4 left. Into 5 right. 20. 4 left. Into slow. 2 right. Very long. Opens over crest. Into 4 left. Slow 20. Keep right over crest. Turn unseen. Open hairpin left. 3 right of a crest. Into 5
So this is adding to immersion big style.
4 left long tightens. Into 6 right. And 6 left. Into 2 right tightens. Into 2 left tightens.
So the mechanical force on the shifter
Opens of a crest.
makes it
6
quite
left long.
believable to be a sequential.
Tightens 3. Into 5 left, don't cut. And keep right of a 30. 6 left of a crest long. Tightens 3, don't cut. Into 1 right. Into don't cut 3 left. 20. 6 right. Into slow 1 right tightens.
And here I am trying to get you
right tightens.
as many of the shots of the shifter as I can,
60 over crest.
but I can't yet
Slow to
record
left, tightens narrow.
multiple inputs all at the same time, although I wish I could.
4 left tightens into flat.
So there's the sequential shifter. Very impressed with how that works. But let's come out of that stage rather than finishing it, because I want to have a look at the H pattern, because this is what a lot of people are going to be buying it for. Historic racers, classic racers, MX5s and Assetto Corsa are a great thing for H pattern shifters. And with everything out on the market at the moment, the question is, does it cut it? So how do you go from sequential to H pattern? Well, I'm going to show you really quickly. So over on the shifter view here, we just press down from the top, give it a twist, and that's that. So that allows it to now go into H pattern, and it will hold it. And there's a switch on this side of the shifter I have to feel for. It is, there it is. Don't know whether you heard that on the camera, but that is essentially just a toggle switch, one side or the other, sequential or H pattern, and that's it. That's all you need to just change it. So
40, 6 left into 3 right long, opens 30. Good luck.
immediately I notice when I go into H pattern, the tension on the spring is a lot less. So when you're in sequential, it feels really punchy, really strong, and really mechanical, but this feels a bit more lever action. If you've had an MX5, a Mark 1 MX5, you'll know exactly what I mean. But let's get into the stage here.
3, 2, 1, go. 40, 6 left.
Bit of torque steer off the line there.
Opens 30. 3 right long tightens into sudden turn 2 left. 50. 2 right long tightens into 3 left.
Mini doesn't like the rain then.
Into 3 right. 30. 4 left long, tightens slow 30. 6 left tightens, turn 2 left. Into 3 right long, tightens 30. Left over crest, ball cut maybe 30. 3 right long, tightens 2. 30. 3 left, 60. Turn 5 right, extra long, opens.
I'm gonna call it there for the rallying, because that feels really, really good. If I'm gonna put it into something that all of us might quite understand, in terms of the shift action, it feels a lot like a motorbike engine conversion, or a Formula car, something like a Formula Jedi, or something with the hill climb in mind, where all they've done is create linkage to that gearbox rather than change the gearbox for a higher spec one like they do in the F3.5. So that feels very mechanical and very realistic in terms of the sequential. In terms of the H pattern, I know that the spring tension can be increased or reduced. Not everybody's going to get on with it straight away. It does feel kind of weak to move, but it holds it really well, and that cam works very, very well. So it feels quite a lot like the MX5 that I've got, only with looser gates, if that makes any sense. The gates are the parts that open and close and allow the rod to slide in and catch that rod. It feels like they're quite wide. I'm not gonna get used to that 7th gear plate. 5th and 6th are going to be quite easy to miss because there's no stop along the transverse travel. So if I just show you here that we have 1st and 2nd with a stop to the left, 3rd and 4th are easy because that's where the shifter wants to stay, and then 5th, which should be over here, there's no stop, there's no easy way to get to it. It's just going to be one of those things where you hope you land in the right spot when you're coming down, when you're going up. Because as you can see there, as we come out to 5th to 6th, it does want to revert to centre, whereas it's very easy to throw it into 7th or reverse. And that is not something you want to do when you're on a circuit, when you're on a rally course, is going sort of from 4th into 7th. And you certainly don't want to be going from 3rd into reverse. So you kind of have to be careful when you're changing gears, swapping around. You can get different plates, and I'd probably recommend that you go for the plate that's going to suit your racing best. I don't really do much racing where cars go into 5th gear anyway, so it's not something that bothers me too much. I really like that top plate though. That top plate looks authentic, it looks sturdy and strong, and it's keyed correctly for H pattern shifting, which is something that's very, very important and very overlooked on very cheap shifters. So with that all said and done, I'm going to call it a video there. As you all know, I do this thing called Twitch, which I'm going to plug right now, every Saturday 7 until 9, and every Thursday night as well now. I'm streaming twice a week. Get yourself over. Chat is always popping, it's always a blast, and there's lots of fun to be had. I will pop a link on the screen so you guys know where to go. There's a link in the description as always. Get clicking that, get clicking the follow button, click the bell to be notified when I'm live, and we'll see you there. As for everybody else who prefers pre-recorded content and edited stuff, thank you all so much for being here, by the way. Yeah, we're growing. We're growing rapidly now, and I would like to just cement my gratitude by saying thank you once more. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep throwing me them comments, them likes. Keep throwing subscriptions, convincing other people to come check me out. It means a lot, and it's really working, so thank all of you. My success is your success, because without you guys, I don't do anything. Yeah, so we will see you on Thursday. We're Wednesday now, so this video potentially Saturday. I've got enough time to get it edited, get it out there. We're going to do that. So yeah, we'll see you on the Saturday stream, and we'll see you Thursdays from now on as well. Thank you so much, YouTube. We'll see you next time.